Bob is around even money or plus 105 in that neighborhood to win the Conn Smythe. Barkov is also in that same range. And we kicked this around yesterday. Does this idea exist where Connor McDavid could win the award in losing fashion? Well, this is from Frank Cervelli, Daily Faceoff. He wrote that if you get to game 6, that's it. All of a sudden, you start to get into McDavid, Conn Smythe territory, even potentially in losing fashion. It also depends on how split the votes would be between Barkov and Bobrovsky. This is him writing. I feel like that part of cracked open with Bobrovsky getting pulled. Nonetheless, and we had this exact conversation on the rundown, you would agree with me that McDavid wasn't in the first or second spot in terms of being the Oilers MVP through the first 3 rounds. And then there was one of the co-hosts who also said, I would also argue that the gap between what you've gotten from McDavid and what you've gotten from Bouchard and Draisaitl, who would have been 1 and 2, would have been pretty significant in the Stanley Cup final. Mm-hmm. So now they're kicking this around, this whole idea. Yeah,
as I said yesterday, he just broke Gretzky's record for assists in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that's... Now, I said if it was 7. He said 6. Right. If they win tonight, that could be good enough. But the other key point he had, and he's making sense, is that the voters, Barkov and Bob, are going to cancel one another out. And that's why the door could be open for McDavid, who's 7-1 at DraftKings. So that he might be onto something there. Because if this is a high-scoring game that Edmonton wins, McDavid, short price to score a goal tonight. Let's say he has a couple, or maybe he has some assists as well. Then you come back. I mean, if you're going to win high-scoring games again, that takes Bob out.
I would think.
Bob, he just chased him in the last game. So if Barkov doesn't do anything from an offensive standpoint, or this, I think he's onto something.
This is interesting. It really is, because multiple scenarios here again. If it's 3-1 Florida tonight, Bob has a really good shot to win, and then it's going to come down obviously to him and Barkov. But to your point, if Edmonton goes there tonight and they win 6-3, McDavid's awesome.
That's what you need. That type of score. Yeah.
Sure. And then all of a sudden
5-3, something like that. Yeah.
And then 7-1 is going to be what, 3-1?
Yeah.
Plus $2 in that neighborhood as it would go back to Edmonton then? Mm-hmm. And he is alive and kicking.
Yes. It was a good article. But certainly he's right, because these guys are both even money now at DraftKings.
Well, I like that
they're going to cancel each other
Here's
out.
What I like.
It's a tough call. I can't wait to see what Eddie O says. But
I respect them for having the conversation.
Yeah.
As we said, I tried to bring up yesterday, I don't think voters can get there anymore mentally because they've been trained over the years to say it's got to be from a winning team. It doesn't have to be. I mean, Jerry West in the NBA, he was the only guy ever to get it in the NBA Finals. How long ago was that again? 5 decades? So, but it has happened before. LeBron should have won it in 2015 in a losing cause.
No doubt.
He was easily the best player in the series. His team stunk.
Oh, they were terrible. Guys were injured. It was Dellavedova and guys he was putting on his back. Absolutely.
Yeah, he carried the entire team.
Yeah.
And the Warriors were completely loaded. That was the first year of their run. So, I mean, if
it'll be juicy. If they win tonight, it's juicy.
I would agree.
Not to mention the pressure and going back to Edmonton for Friday night's game, but I think it ends tonight. And I think the similarities between the Stanley Cup and the NBA Finals, there's so many similarities. The fact that Edmonton should have won Game 1, let it get away. Dallas should have won Game 2. So we should have had a split with the road team getting one. And then Florida dominated the last couple games, and now it's the blowout scenario, much like what happened in Game 4 in both. So has Edmonton found something here against Bob with scoring, and not just Bob, but overall offensively scoring 10 goals in the last 4 periods? Maybe, but I can't get past this. I like Florida to win in regulation plus 120, but Florida in the playoffs off a loss. 4-1, outscored their opponents 21-10. Half of those came against the Rangers when they lost Game 3 at home 5-4 in overtime. So 4 of the games, they've held their opponent to 2 goals or fewer. They have been awesome off a loss, and Bob has been great off a loss. And I think they get it done, and Bob bounces back, and Florida wins in 5.
Well, to tie in the comparison and go one deeper here, who was also really good off of a loss? The Boston Celtics. They lost 3 times in the playoffs, and they came back every single time and blew out their opponent. So
that was humiliating what happened. I mean, that's on a big stage, and that doesn't happen in hockey. No, again, it was the second worst ever. Because we mentioned what happened in '91 with Pittsburgh and Minnesota, but to lose 8-1 in a hockey game, let alone on the big stage in the finals. So they let go of the rope, and I know Maurice said he didn't count some of the goals late, 5-on-3 and what happened, and then it got chippy there at the end. So, yeah, it's the exact same scenario is going to play out, where the team gets embarrassed, they bounce back, and they end it. Boston was great. They were ticked off and ready to go from the jump, and you'll see that tonight with Florida.
What do you think about the total here at 5.5 after Game 4?
That's a tough one. I have no opinion.
Stay away.
Well, this is the one thing you have to. It's also a stay away from an in-play standpoint, because it's an elimination game, and you've already seen Knobloch pull the goalie with 5 minutes left.
That's where I was going to go next.
So, I mean, if this is even 3-1, 2-1, he's going to come out and he's going to stay out. Because at that point, what's the difference? 3-1, if he's staying out, empty net, you might see 3. Who cares?
Well, you're right. And so there's a scenario here again where the puck line, you like them in regulation, Panthers puck line could also be the case.
Plus 190 out there. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Now, I'm not a fan of that. I don't like pulling the goalie that early, especially if it's a 1-goal game. But he's already done it earlier in this series. He pulled the goalie with 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
But I got to see. It's big tonight with Skinner. I know Bob will be fine. Skinner can't give up on early, and he can't give up any softies.
Yep, totally agree. Remember last year, this Panthers team playing in a Game 5, the roles were kind of reversed here. They were the underdog, and the Golden Knights were the best team in hockey a year ago. That was vile and nasty what took place in Game 5. Pure destruction out here in Vegas.
Yep.
And it was goal after goal after goal, and everybody was dancing on the boulevard out here. So that can take place in a game like this, although this Edmonton team is better than Florida was last year for sure.
Oh, yeah. Just look at the respect. Florida only $1.30.